Hi everyone, today's story is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, a goofy fairy tale. Tonight is story night and Mickey is going to read a bedtime story from the Clubhouse library. How will we decide which story to read, Minnie wonders. I'll use magic to pick a book, says Goofy. Book-a-doodle-doo, fly away and shoo! Oh no, Goofy uses the wrong magic words. All the stories disappear. Golly, he said, I goofed up. Mickey goes to Professor Von Drake to ask for help. Professor, where have our stories gone? The professor uses a remote control to open a magic door. Your stories can be found in a gold book with a heart, a diamond, and a rose on its cover, the professor says. The book is in the Beast Castle in the land of the fairy tales. Suddenly, Goofy slips and falls through the magic door. My remote control is broken, cries the professor. Goofy's stuck in the land of fairy tales. Goofy can't get the gold storybook all by himself, says Daisy. You can do it, pal, Mickey calls to Goofy. In the land of fairy tales, Goofy finds himself dressed in new fairy tale clothes. Before long, Goofy is lost. Gosh, says Goofy, which way leads to the Beast's castle? Go right, answers a tiny voice. Goofy is so surprised he slips and falls to the ground. You're a goofy fella, says a small knight. Goofy fella, laughs Goofy. That can be my fairy tale name. We're Chip and Dale Thumb, says Chip the small knight. But we've got to go, adds Dale Thumb. Big problem at the castle. Soon, Goofy fella meets Pied Piper Donald and Pluto the merry dog. They're trying to lead the ducklings to a pond. Goofy fella wants to teach Pied Piper Donald a new song, but he drops the flute and breaks it. Oh, Toodles, he says. Toodles' cousin Goofles arrives with 4 mousecatools, suction cups, sticky tape, an oar, and 1 mystery mousecatool. Goofy fella uses the tape to fix the flute. When Pied Piper Donald plays the new song, the ducklings line up and follow him. Goofy fella soon finds himself lost deep in the woods. He turns to Hansel and Gretel Mouse. They're lost too. Maybe someone in that house can help us, says Goofy fella. Hello? A voice calls from the house. It's Witch Clarabelle. Witch Clarabelle is making a big batch of merry muffins, but she can't find her mixing spoon. I can help, says Goofy fella. He calls for Goofles and chooses the oar mousecatool. Goofy fella accidentally knocks a basket of berries into the batter. Ah, that's just what it needs, says Witch Clarabelle. Can you help me get to the castle, says Goofy fella. Just follow the diamond shape, says Witch Clarabelle. Goofy fella says goodbye to his new friends and hurries on his way. The diamond shapes lead Goofy fella to a crystal mountain and the Beast's castle is at the top. Goofy fella starts to climb the mountain, but the path is too slippery and he slides straight back down. Goofy fella calls Goofles, who has 2 mousecatools left. The suction cups and the mystery mousecatool. He chooses the suction cups. He puts them on his shoes and marches right up the mountain. Goofy fella sees Chip and Dale Thumb at the castle door. We've come to rescue Daisy Beauty, Dale Thumb tells him. But we're so small, says Chip Thumb. The beast can't hear us knocking. I'll just ring the bell, Goofy fella says. but he pulls on the rope too hard. The bell falls on his head. Beast Pete comes to the door. "What do you want?" he roars. "We want you to let Daisy Beauty go," says Chip Thumb. "I just wanted a friend," Beast Pete admits. "Let's have a party," Goofy Fella says. "That's a good way to make friends." "Great idea," says Beast Pete. He turns to Daisy Beauty. "Will you be my guest?" he asks her politely. Daisy Beauty realises Beast Pete is really very kind. "Yes," she answers. "We can be friends too." Suddenly, Beast Pete turns into a prince. Daisy Beauty's friendship broke the spell. "I owe this all to you, Goofy Fella," Prince Pete says. "How can I repay you?" "Well, I'm looking for the gold storybook," Goofy Fella says. "If the book is in my library," says Prince Pete, "it's yours." Prince Pete's library is stacked high with books. "What does the gold storybook look like?" he asked. "It's decorated with 3 shapes," says Goofy Fella. "A heart, a diamond, and a rose." "I see it," shouts Daisy Beauty, "but it's up so high." "I know just what to do," says Goofy Fella. "Oh, Goofos!" The Mystery Mousecatool is a bunch of balloons. Goofy Fella holds on to them and floats to the top shelf. He grabs the gold storybook. "I've got it!" shouts Goofy Fella. "But how will I get down?" Chip and Dale Thumb come to the rescue, popping the balloons one at a time. Goofy Fella floats safely back to the ground. It's time for Goofy Fella to go home. Prince Pete and Rosalie the dragon to give Goofy Fella a ride. Goofy Fella holds the gold storybook tight and waves goodbye to his new fairy tale friends. At the clubhouse, the professor finally gets the remote control working. He presses the button and opens the door. Rosalie the dragon flies to the magic door and Goofy steps right through. "Goofy!" yells Mickey, "you did it!" "I sure did," said Goofy. "Just in time for a bedtime story." Mickey opens the gold storybook and the missing stories fly back into their books. "So what story should we read?" says Goofy. "We want to hear your story," Daisy says. "How did you find the book?" "Well," begins Goofy, "I guess you could say I found it in my own goofy way." The end. Thank you for listening, and remember to subscribe to the channel for more great stories.